This is a difficult day for the Senate. It's a difficult day for senators. The report from Deloitte and the report from the Internal Economy Committee are very disturbing and very disappointing.
But does it concern you that there is a gray area between not knowing if a claim should be billed to the Senate or not?
I don't. I think that we are now requiring a greater level of explanation as to what the purpose of a particular claim is, and it's not enough to simply say Senate business or some phrase like that. You have to specify to Senate Finance to a greater level of detail, and with respect to names and that sort of thing, we're required to keep that information in our offices if we were required to provide it to auditors. So I don't think it's I don't think it's the problem is widespread. Obviously, we have identified 3 or 4 senators where it apparently has been a problem. I've said from the beginning that I don't think the problem is with the rules. I think the problem is with the inability or unwillingness of some senators to abide by the letter and spirit of those rules. Just saying, all right, to pretend that there are no rules is not correct. Obviously, rules of financial disclosure, financial administration are constantly being reviewed in any organization as practices develop and as problems are identified. And the Senate is doing that, and I think is doing a good job. I think this is not something that we should blame on the Senate or Senate administration. As I said at the beginning, this issue was identified first not by our friends in the media. It was identified by the Senate administration, Senate Finance, who said there are warning flags here. Her travel pattern is different than other senators, and that's what caused the chain of events that led to.
Do you think Prime Minister Stephen Harper should explain why and how he cleared Pamela Wallin's expenses last February?
Well, I think so. I mean, here, this is a bit of a pattern here. You remember that Mr. Harper jumped to the defense of Senator Duffy and said that at first that Mr. Wright was doing the right thing by stepping in and saving the taxpayer from this loss, and he maintained his support of Mr. Wright for a few days and then abandoned him. And then, as you say, he said that he had personally reviewed Senator Wallin's expenses and found them to be in order. So I think that's a good question for you to ask him. I'd like to know how extensive his review was and how he could find that her expenses were entirely appropriate and were consistent with the expenses of other senators from that part of parliamentarians from that part of the country, because from my reading of the posted expenses, they clearly were not.